Good evening and welcome into the Weather Now Kentucky channel on both YouTube and Facebook. I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster, here with WNK. We do have an alert day video out for you right now. We're doing this live broadcast here to answer some of your questions about what to expect on Sunday going into Monday. We do expect significant severe weather to perhaps take place throughout portions of the state. We do have a forecast ready for you. If you haven't viewed that earlier, it's kind of the same thing, but we'll break it down a little bit more in this broadcast, as well as we do have a small update, a couple of small changes to some timing, and that will happen over the next few days. But I'm going to give it probably 2 minutes before we start going into the information real well here, just because I want to make sure everyone has time to get in here. I know Facebook and YouTube sometimes can be a little bit slow on pushing out the alerts that we're live, so I just want to make sure that we give it enough time for folks to get in here. So again, if you are just now tuning in here, I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here for WNK. We do have a significant alert day out for Sunday going into Monday. Let me go ahead and switch some of this audio over quick while we have a second. So, of course, as you're coming in, if you would not mind, tap the share button at the bottom portion of your screen there. Guys, really help us if you can by spreading our content out, getting as many folks informed as possible. The best way to do that is hitting the share button, putting on your news feed so that your friends and family can view it. With a day like this coming up for Sunday, I want to make sure that everyone is prepared and up to date on what to expect. I can go ahead and tell you that if you are going to ask for any what we should do Sunday or whatever it might be, because I know there's a lot of folks that are going to be celebrating Memorial Day on Sunday, and I know there's a few graduations as well. My advice would be to not have those plans. Let me go ahead and change some of the sound over, because this is going to annoy the crap out of me if I don't get this changed over. My advice would just simply be to not have those plans. And we don't give you that advice to make it seem like we're scaring you into watching more stuff. I've had some weird comments today, like we're just putting out stuff to get you guys to click things. I want to make it very clear that I don't know how other people do it, but the way we have our stuff set up, and I'll be honest with you, the way we have our stuff set up is our brand deals are already in place. You can click on it. Doesn't matter as much. It doesn't matter if you click on it or not. Our brand deals are already in place. We don't get paid more from you clicking on stuff or from you watching stuff. So I just want to make it very clear that all the messaging or all the posting or all the videos that we put out are purely out of our commitment to making sure that you guys are aware of the newest information. And the newest information for Sunday has remained the same as it has the last 3 days. Significant severe weather looks possible, and we're starting to trend more toward that probable word. The difference between possible and probable is possible, and there's a chance, but we have a lot of questions. Probable, still a chance, but it's a lot more certain. So we're trending more toward a probable setup for Sunday for significant weather throughout the portion or throughout much of the state. I'll show you where the best portions are, the most vulnerable portions are. Now that we've hit that, where are we at here? Now that we're okay. We can go ahead and start. We're at the 4-minute mark. So once again, if you are just not tuning in here, please tap the share button at the bottom portion of your screen. If you're over there on Facebook, help us please get this video shared out to as many folks as possible. Best way to do that is once again sharing it to your newsfeed. If you're over on YouTube, you can share and copy the link, whatever it might be. This video is going to be a little bit more blunt, a little more straightforward. Try to be as friendly and kind as possible, but I want to make sure that the information is as clearly communicated as it possibly can be. And sometimes that means Blunt and George has to come out. So please, I know we live in a world where everyone takes offense to everything. Don't take offense to my bluntness. It's just a matter of making sure that the information is as clear as possible. All right. So here's our alert day graphic. We did update the timing a little bit, 1 p.m. to 2 a.m. Yes, that's a large window, and yes, some of you are going to be like, why is that so large? The reason for that is in our next breakdown picture. I'll go ahead and pull it up here. So again, Sunday into Monday, Sunday 1 p.m. to Monday morning at 2 a.m. So that's why it's Sunday and Monday. Here's that alert graphic I was just talking to you about. This has not been posted yet. This will be posted just after the video, so if you do miss this, the key messages will be on our page. So here's going to be the 8 p.m. update for tonight, looking towards Sunday afternoon to early Monday morning, as noted right here. That's the forecast that we made earlier. I'll go ahead and explain that here in just a little bit as well, but for now, let's go ahead and read the alert messages. Also in this video, we're going to look at the SPC's forecast, and we're also going to look at actual model data as well. So not only are you going to be able to see two different forecasts here, one from us, one from the SPC, but you're actually going to see the system for yourself on the model data. So we're going to give you all that information. I want to say real quickly, the shares are really going up now. Thank you so much for your help with that. Multiple lines of storms will push through from the river to the southeast after sunset. Before that, isolated strong supercells, a few, may pop up. Primary alert, tornadoes, a couple significant, damaging winds, large hail, and flash flooding. So truly, all hazards are possible. When we meet, I know sometimes a lot of people don't know what all. Some people will ask what's possible or what's going to be the outlook or whatever. And whenever someone or whatever weather outlet says all hazards, usually that means damaging winds, tornadoes, hail. Those are kind of your three. The timing looks to be from 1 to 3 p.m. leftover line from Kansas area. So what's going to happen in Kansas and Oklahoma Saturday afternoon and evening, that will eventually make its way to us Sunday either morning or Sunday afternoon, depending upon what time that line comes. Depending upon what time that line comes, is going to be pretty important to what happens Sunday night here in Kentucky. If that line left over from Kansas and Oklahoma comes Sunday morning, well, then the atmosphere has ample amount of time to destabilize and support significant weather Sunday night. If that line is delayed, like let's say to around 2 to 6 or 7 p.m., well, then you're looking at that kind of being the main event. And then the Sunday night event kind of being just a big washout. So, what we're rooting for right now is that the line from Kansas and Oklahoma makes it to us in that afternoon time frame, like let's say 3 to 6 p.m. Because the later that comes and the longer it lasts, the less juice the atmosphere is going to have to be able to support strong weather later that night. Do I think it completely wipes it out? No. I think either way we cut it, either way we slice it here, no matter what way you fold your clothes here, an outlook for significant weather does exist for Sunday. Okay, I just want to make that very, very clear. 3 to 7 p.m., isolated supercells will pop up. There won't be a whole lot, but whatever does pop up will take advantage of an extremely robust environment. Okay, they're all, like I said, there'll only be maybe 2 or 3 supercells that pop up, but those 2 or 3 supercells will be likely significant. And then from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m., multiple lines of storms. So now we've shifted our storm mode. So now we've gone from more of leftover lines of storms for Sunday morning and early Sunday afternoon to supercellular in the afternoon and evening on Sunday to now we're talking about linear or QLCS, which is technically called a quasi-linear convective system. That's your line of storms, and that will be capable of producing damaging winds, large hail, and a couple of tornadoes along that path of it. So we have different types of storms that we're looking at for Sunday. Not a lot of people know that there's several, I believe 9 different types of thunderstorms. And we'll be looking at least 3 different types on Sunday. So that is our forecast update for tonight on that. Now, again, let's go ahead and take a look at what else do I have here? Just real quickly, a little bit more zoomed in picture. Here's the colors. I want to make it very clear that this is not the Storm Prediction Center's forecast. We make our own forecast. In a day and age where people don't make their own forecast anymore for some reason, they're always posting the SPCs. This is our forecast. You see the big W&K logo up there? There's no NOAA logo anywhere. This is our forecast for Sunday. Timing 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. Again, we're going to have to update that to pull that back to 1 p.m. Just to kind of cover our bases there. But level 1 out of 5 risk for green, level 2 out of 5 risk for yellow, level 3 out of 5 risk for orange, and level 4 out of 5 risk for red. One thing I want to make very clear here is that this is going to be probably changing by the time we get a little bit closer towards Sunday afternoon. I just want to make that very clear. I want to make something else very clear as well, that just because you are not in that fancy red color and don't have the highest threat does not mean you get to let your guard down. These storms will have a pack, well, they'll pack the punch all the way into the green zone, okay? The difference is between the zones is going to be the vulnerability. So, for example, this red area, right, it's a little bit closer to the low pressure. The low pressure is actually going to be tracking through Iowa going up toward Michigan. So, the more north you are, ideally, in that type of setup, the more vulnerable you are because you're closer to the low pressure. Can these zones shift at all by the time we get to Sunday? Of course they can. I don't see it shifting a whole ton. The only thing that could probably happen at this point is a northeast shift. I don't think it shifts a ton at this point. The reason being is that now we have some of the short range models coming in, and almost every single one of them are lining up with the European model. Okay, so that tells us that the European model and beyond that, the European model has been remarkably consistent over the last 36 hours with its idea of the Ohio River and just south being the target zone out of everywhere. And then it kind of drops off outside of that. So that's kind of why we went toward this type of look for here. So once again, very clearly, this is not the SPC's forecast. This is our forecast. So now that you kind of have that burned into your brain there, let me go ahead and pull up the SPC's forecast here for you, which I don't have over here because, of course, I don't. So let's go ahead and look at this. I'm going to pull us over to the actual full display and take off the boundary there for a second. So this is today, by the way. I just want to make sure I don't scoot over this too much. There is still a level 2 out of 5 risk for Western Kentucky from pretty much now until about midnight for the possibility of storms rolling through there that might be severe. I'm going to go ahead and just pull up the radar real briefly here because I'm not going to talk about tonight too much because I don't know why there's a 2 out of 5 risk for Western Kentucky tonight. I mean, even up here where they're closer to the 3 out of 5 risk, there's not even one severe warning up there. There's one all the way out here, but it just looks like a massive rain out for that event. Now down here to the south, yes, but again, look at those tracks there, right? This is all down here, and this is all heading this way, so nothing toward Kentucky. What would enter Western Kentucky to produce that 2 out of 5 risk would be this right here, and as it comes through here, there's actually a ton, or a pretty large cap in place. So what that will do is to help block these storms. It will help to keep them rain showers. So I don't think there will be any severe weather tonight. Can I rule it out completely? No. If there was a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings for very marginal risk, 60-mile-per-hour winds and small hail, it would probably be somewhere down here from Paducah to Henderson, and maybe to Madisonville, Princeton. That's it. So that's the night's update there. For that's what we haven't really talked about it a whole lot, because it just doesn't look like anything super. Looks more like what we saw the last couple of days, and what we saw over the last couple of days was a couple of severe warnings at best, with no real damages produced, and then it just turned into a massive rain shower event or thunder shower event, and I think that's the case for tonight as well. Now, also for tonight, a 1 out of 5 risk does exist for Central, and then just a thunderstorm risk for Eastern Kentucky. I do think as these storms enter Western Kentucky, they run into that cap that we just talked about. They start to get blocked. They will begin to die down. I don't think storms really survive past this dark green area. So that's for tonight. This is for Sunday. By the way, don't want to skip over this as well. Kind of getting ahead of myself here. Saturday, there is a thunderstorm risk, but this is more just for an isolated pop-up shower or two. As you can see, there's nothing on any type of actual risk. There's no 1 out of 5 or 2 out of 5. There's nothing. So Saturday, while we can't rule out pop-up showers and maybe a casual thunderstorm, there's no severe weather projected for Saturday, which I want to make a note of that because I know there's a lot of graduations happening on Saturday. A lot of folks have asked us about it. I don't see anything for Saturday, really. Which it will be nice to get a little bit of a break. Although we won't be getting a break, we'll be forecasting for Sunday. So this is Sunday. A level 3 out of 5 risk does exist from basically Bowling Green to Frankfort up toward Florence and then all the way out to the west. Does cut off down here for Murray and Mayfield. You do get cut off from a 3 out of 5 risk, but you're also in a 2 out of 5 risk. Again, I want to make it very clear here as well that just because you're not in the fanciest high color here does not mean you can let your guard down. I think that risk truly extends all the way over toward the Lexington and Corbin areas, maybe ending at the London areas. So 3 out of 5 risk does exist for pretty much all of Western and North Central Kentucky and then all the way back out toward Illinois. Do I think the SPC can move this? This is something that we've talked about in the team chat for a while now, at least since this morning. I do think that as we get closer to the event, so you got to remember, so this is technically a day 3 outlook here. You're never going to see anything more than a 3 out of 5 risk for day 3. Okay, so to put it in perspective, this is probably the highest risk that you're going to see on day 3, what is placed right now. So as we get a little bit closer, I do think that a couple of changes will be made based off of current data anyway. Now again, that data can shift. Data loves to wiggle back and forth. We know that at some point a southern trend is going to come in because that's been the trend all year, is when these models first start picking up storm systems, especially on what we call CAMs, convective allowing models, the short range models. They love to go too far north at first, and then the day of or the day before they're starting to slowly shift back to the south. So in my opinion, I do think that their forecast map will start to look a little bit like ours. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not saying they were right. I think we went with more of the projected look on our forecast. They went with more of the current look, and I can't fault them for that. That's what they're supposed to do. Really, that's what we're supposed to do as well. But I know what these models are going to do. We've seen it time and time again this year. So in my opinion, I do think that somewhere along the Ohio River, maybe in the southern Indiana, maybe just clipping the northern row of counties in Kentucky, let's say from Owensboro to Elizabethtown to Louisville, I think eventually a level 4 out of 5 risk will be introduced for that area, maybe extending up and toward Illinois. Okay. Outside of that, I'm not sure what they're going to do. I do think overall, though, that we will see changes. Updated for this will come, or an update for this will come, I believe, at 2:30 a.m. Eastern time, 1:30 a.m. Central time tonight, or going into the overnight hours. So, of course, we'll have a post out for that. You can read it in the morning. And then as we get closer, they'll update that more often. So that's their outlook there for probabilist or outlook. Here's the probabilistic. I can never say that word. Probability of severe weather within 25 miles of a point. So basically, this is like saying your house is a point within 25 miles of your house. Here's the risk. Okay, so 30 to 44% chance of severe weather for this red zone inside of this black hatch zone. So this includes places, I know it's kind of hard to read, but this includes places like Elizabethtown, Owensboro, Henderson, Kentucky, Shelbyville, Kentucky, Bullitt County, Kentucky, Nelson County, Kentucky, going up toward Florence, Kentucky. It includes those folks along Cynthiana and then back down toward Louisville, Kentucky. So this hatched area, it signifies a greater than or equal to 10% probability, which on day 3 is quite the high probability of significant severe weather. What does significant severe weather mean? I want to explain this real quickly to you because I know some folks are probably going to be like, "What in the world is he talking? What's the difference between regular severe weather, significant, dangerous situation, yada yada yada?" So you just have your regular severe weather here. So this is like your severe thunderstorm warnings that are 60-mile-per-hour winds, 1-inch sized hail. Those are kind of your more lower end severe warnings. Significant means that significant damages have been produced. So we're talking about tornadoes that are EF2 or higher. You're also talking about damaging winds that are 70 mile per hour or higher. Or you're starting to talk about hail that's 2 inches in diameter or higher. So approaching that golf ball, that baseball sized hail, right? So that's the difference between just severe, significant severe, and then of course the next one after that is violent. So you have severe, significant, and violent. Significant again, remember, it means EF2 or higher on the tornado scale, 2-inch or higher on the hail scale, and 70 mile per hour or higher on the wind scale. Violent, I believe, means you're talking about long-lived, long-track tornadoes at that point that are producing violent damages. So that's usually your EF3 or higher. And then you have damaging winds that I believe are 80 mile per hour or higher for violent category. Don't quote me on that. And then hail that's 3 inches in diameter or higher. So that's kind of your scale right there. So if you ever hear us or anyone else start to mention, regular severe or significant severe or violent severe, that's kind of the differences there. The last one would probably be emergency. I don't hear a lot of people mention that often in outlooks. That's usually more of a right now type of thing. But emergency means obviously life-threatening conditions exist. So that's your outlook for there for Sunday from the SPC. Let's go and take a look at the actual model data right here for the European model for Sunday. But before we do that, we got to pay the bills. So we got a 90-second ad row here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You can't skip it because we're the ones doing it here. But you're not going to miss anything. I'm not going to cover anything while you're gone. 90 seconds. You might hear something you like. Of course, these guys and these sponsors, they give us the ability to be here for y'all 24/7. So the best way we could thank them is just by hearing them out and see what they have to offer. So I'll be right back here in about 90 seconds. Make Right Implement your go-to spot this spring and summer for all of your equipment needs. With over 15 locations throughout Kentuckiana, they have so many destinations for you to choose from. They have great customer service, a super knowledgeable staff, and high-quality products that are also affordable. Oh, and they're always running deals like these here. Thank you so much, Right Implement, for being a supporter of the Weather Now Kentucky channel. Digital Solutions out of Radcliffe, Kentucky wants to give back to the W&K community. Take 10% off with code W&K on any sale or repair. That's right, they do both. Thank you so much, Kayla and your team, for supporting the Weather Now Kentucky channel.
Yeah, I'm Steve with Greyhawk Roofing. Some things that make us different about Greyhawk Roofing. Number one, we're family owned and operated. We don't treat it as a transactional relationship. We treat it more like a long-term relationship. Quality is big for us. We have a quality control representative on every job site, and that's actually my dad. Not only do residential, but we also take care of commercial roofing as well. Check us out on Google, check us out on Facebook, check out our website. We've got a lot of our work on there. You can take a look at our portfolio. Do free estimates, free inspections, so we don't charge anything for that. We'd love to work with you. We'd love to add you to the Greyhawk family. So just give us a shout, 606-547-7519. Thank you.
When you're the leader in disaster cleanup and restoration, how do you make like it never even happened happen? Fire it up, Randy! By being prepared for anything! Whatever comes your way, there's a pro for that.
Serve Pro, like it never even happened.
All right. Thank you so much to those of you that stuck that out, and maybe you'll hear something you like. I appreciate them. They give us the ability to be here for you guys 24/7. So I really appreciate them with everything, because I used to do this and work full time on the side, and it was not fun. So big shout out to our sponsors that give us the opportunity to be here for you guys 24/7. So that's why we ask you to maybe consider using them in the future. Keep supporting them. The more they support them, the more you support them, the more they support us, and the more that we can be here for you guys. So thank you to them very much. I appreciate that. So we're just going to look at the European model real quickly here. So because there's not really a whole lot to see, we kind of broken down the forecast pretty well so far, but I'll just kind of show you the overall look for the next couple of days, and then going in to Sunday. So I know a lot of people have graduations for tomorrow. Let's go ahead and take a quick look into Saturday. Some storms might pop up around 4 to 5 a.m. And then they're kind of out by about 7 to 8 a.m. Again, don't expect any severe weather with these, but they are going to be quite heavy rain showers. So if you do plan on attending a graduation ceremony or anything on Saturday morning, make sure you probably bring a light washcloth or something to dry off anything you might be sitting on. Just a piece of advice there. You don't want to sit down in some wet seats. But nonetheless, nothing too crazy for Saturday that we're seeing. There is a chance, I believe, for some storms. There they are on Saturday evening as well. Again, don't expect anything real severe out of these. These should be just kind of secluded to eastern Kentucky. But again, more heavy rain showers on the radar there for Saturday afternoon. And then once again, they're out pretty quickly. So nothing too crazy on Saturday. Saturday, we actually get a bit of a break. Kind of lovely. It will be extremely, I want to make it very clear as well for Saturday. If you do plan, again, I know there's a lot of graduations going on, so that's why I'm kind of harping on Saturday a little bit. But if you do head out, may want to throw a little extra deodorant on, lots of water bottles. It will be extremely muggy outside. So make sure that you're kind of just staying hydrated more so than anything. Deodorant, I think, was a joke. But so no one takes offense to it. But make sure you're back in the water bottles. Make sure you're ready to be sweating. Just because, again, it will be pretty muggy outside. So that's Saturday. Nothing too crazy there. Sunday is where things tend to take up, or where things will trend up a little bit. My goodness, we need more sleep around here, guys. Anyway, so the European model has that round. This is that round right here that we mentioned is going to come in from Kansas and Oklahoma, and this round is going to move in at some point in the late morning to early afternoon hours. Now, the European model has it in here around 2 p.m. Eastern time, and then quickly gets it out of here. It doesn't want anything to do with it. And so that gives the atmosphere about a 6 to 8 hour window to destabilize and support severe weather. I do want to point out, though, that as this moves through, yes, it will be a dying line technically, but because it might come through in that early afternoon hours, it's starting to get into the heat, starting to get into the sunshine, so this does pose a bit of a severe risk. So now you can kind of see why we widen that time window of the alert day all the way back to 1 p.m., because when this line pushes through, it will carry a slight severe risk with it. It won't be as impressive as what will be occurring, a little bit after that line, but nonetheless, it will be there. So then Sunday afternoon and evening, we start to see a couple of these cells pop up. This is what we talked about. There won't be very many of them. Between 4 to 7 p.m.-ish, maybe 8 p.m. There will probably be 2 to 3. I hope not more. If there's more, then we got a problem. But if there's only 2 or 3, or there might be only 2 or 3 supercells that pop up, but just because there are 2 or 3, I don't want to overlook them, because any supercell that does pop up in that afternoon time frame of 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern time will be able to take advantage of an entire pool of juice for storms. So even though we're only looking at the possibility for 2 or 3 supercells on 4 to 7 p.m. that time frame anyway, I want to make it very clear that those 2 or 3 supercells could perhaps be significant. Okay. So as we push this forward to 8 p.m. Eastern time, now we're starting to see the lines that we were talking about. There will be probably 2 distinct lines. This is showing up pretty constantly on model data. We have one broken line up here that will impact northeastern and north central Kentucky, and then one broken line down here that will impact southwestern and south central Kentucky. This line toward Paducah looks to be weaker, but it will pose a slight severe risk. I'm not going to lie, but it looks weaker in comparison to its brother or sister up here in Indiana that's going to push through Kentucky. So as it pushes on forward, you can see those lines eventually will connect, and when they do start to connect, that's when things will begin to weaken a little bit, because instead of a pool of energy going to this cell or this storm line and a pool of energy going to this storm line with a break in between, well, now they got to share the whole pool of energy, and that's why we have our forecast dropping off as it heads southeast. So that's kind of where we're at for now. I do think that even when it does turn into a line like this, severe wind gusts, large hail are the 2 main players there, and still have a decent tornado chance. When they're broken like this, now, again, on the long range here, right, it goes, if you look at this, it goes from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. You don't get the 3 hours in between there. The 3 hours in between there, this monster will be dragging through Kentucky. Now, I want to actually probably go ahead and show you this, the NAM3K model. Now, the reason I didn't want to show you this is because this is probably a bit inaccurate. We know that this model at this time frame is a bit inaccurate compared to others, but just kind of show you, because this does go hour by hour instead of 3 hour by 3 hour. It kind of fills in those gaps for you a little bit. Maybe it makes a little bit more sense. So let's go ahead and get this queued up for Sunday afternoon. And the reason we think that this is inaccurate is because it has the Kansas City line, or the Kansas and Oklahoma line, coming in here at like 4 or 5 a.m., which in my opinion is just way too fast. I think that this gets here a little bit slower. I think that this is more toward that 8 a.m. to maybe noon at the earliest. I think that this line getting here all the way from Kansas to Oklahoma in a matter of 8 hours to here probably doesn't make much sense, unless this thing's moving at about 90 miles per hour, which I don't think it is. So I think that the NAM is a little bit too fast with this, which is why I think this is a smidge inaccurate. So as that pushes forward to, let's say, the afternoon hours, we're getting a little bit more into our alert window here. It does have a couple of cells popping up, but nothing too crazy. It doesn't really have anything. And then we get to midnight, 1 a.m., and it doesn't really have a whole lot. And I just realized, I was on the wrong day. So that's why this was not making any sense to me. I was trying to fill in the gaps there and keep it professional and let you guys realize, but I completely just realized that I was looking at the wrong day there. Can we please get a break? Can we please get a break? I want to go to sleep. So, I gotta just laugh at that. I have to just laugh at that. Skip ads on YouTube. No ads. I have to just laugh at that for a second, because I just realized, I'm going through here and I'm just yapping, right? Because I'm not really sure what I'm seeing, because this isn't making sense. This isn't what I prepare for my broadcast for. And I'm like, something's not right here. And then I look up and I realize I was on a Saturday afternoon, not Sunday afternoon. I'm like, okay, now this makes a lot more sense. So everyone can laugh at me. Yes, you get a pass. You have a baby to be. Oh, I know. It's an extremely chaotic. It's Katie Bobble we were selling. Unfortunately, we're selling the wrong item tonight. But thank you everybody. Thank you for not being too hard on me. Yeah, it's been an extremely chaotic last 72 hours. You guys have no idea. So let's get this thing going in the right way here. So this does have the rain line, or the Kansas City storm coming in here, Oklahoma storm coming in here, and then just completely dying out. This is the part that we didn't agree on. Okay. Because I was like, what? I'm seeing it, but okay. So this is the part that we didn't agree on. So this has the line making it to Kentucky and then just completely dying out in western Kentucky on Sunday morning. I don't think that's the case. That line looks extremely strong. I do think it does impact portions of western and central Kentucky before it begins to fizzle out completely. So I think the NAM3K telling us that nothing is really coming from Kansas and Oklahoma on Sunday morning is probably a bit inaccurate. And then as we push us forward to Sunday afternoon, you'll start to see, if I remember correctly here, a couple of supercells popping up. There we go. So here's what we talked about. There's not a lot of stormer coverage, but there is, these are clear-cut supercells. All right, and only 2 or 3 supercells and a wide pool of storm juice in the middle of peak heating. Never good ingredients. So that's why we talked about that window being quite significant as well. Something else we don't agree on here, now that I'm starting to remember correctly from what I saw and prepared for earlier, is that it has the line sparking. So there's your supercells. By the way, this one is quite significant and this one is quite significant. So again, only 2 supercells, but I'm not going to click on the data because I don't want to scare anybody. But the data is quite strong for both of these supercells. Okay, now where they end up at, we have no idea. Just because it shows it right now going through Hardin County and then out toward Nelson County does not mean that's going to happen. It could be a little bit south, a little bit north, whatever. But just know the general risk for 2 to 3 supercells somewhere within this vicinity is possible. And that's why we kind of started putting that higher echelon of wording out. And then as we push forward toward 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., it does have the QLCS, the broken QLCS, again, quasi-linear convective system, right here, and right here, and right here. But it also initiates a line of storms that are going to be under a strong cap by the Ohio River, and just kind of turns everything into a big rain now. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. I think this model's got a long ways to go. This model usually tends to struggle with these types of setups. I only wanted to show you this because it fills in the gaps hour by hour instead of the 3 hour by 3 hour. But I think this one's really struggling because it just has. I'm gonna tell you right now, it has like 4 supercells going through this northern Kentucky area. So you have this one right here, and then you have another one that was right behind it. I went too fast, you didn't see it. And then it has the strong line here, right? And then it has another one, and it's just like you have all that right there, and then almost nothing anywhere else. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense here. So we've kind of thrown this model just kind of out for now. And sometimes it's what you got to do. But I just wanted to kind of show you that. So for example, here's the HRRR model. Now this one only goes out 48 hours, so it can only see up until 2 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. So it can't actually see our main event. Now this is trying to bring the Kansas and Oklahoma line in here about 2 p.m. Eastern time, which again kind of matches what the European model was showing, right? And it has it significantly stronger than the NAM model. I mean, it has rotating cells all the way from Indianapolis down through Bowling Green. I mean, the whole line is rotating. I do think that with this model, the HRRR model, if you know what we're talking about here, it's called the high rapid. Oh my goodness! Now I'm over here forgetting what this is. I can't think right now. HRRR model. Rapid resolution refresh or something like that. I can't. My brain is fried. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, it has line coming through here at around 2 p.m. Eastern time, and then out here by about 4 p.m. Eastern time, which gives us about 4 hours of clearing, which is enough. But it's not as much as you would be looking for if you're looking for robust severe weather Sunday night. So this is actually more of an ideal setup. Now, it's not going to eliminate our severe weather for Sunday night because this line itself will be severe. And then that line for Sunday night will still have so much wind energy to work with. This one, unless it sits there and it rains for 7 or 8 hours, it's not going to really touch it too much on Sunday night. So I know a lot of you are going to ask, hey, if we see a lot of rain Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, will it help us Sunday night? Yeah, a little bit. It will take, let me put it like this. Instead of having a full gas tank, you'll have 3/4 of a gas tank, right? There's still plenty of gas there, but it's a little bit less than what was before, right? That's kind of what these rain showers will do. It'll take it down a little bit, but guys, it's not going to take it down a whole lot. But again, that's as far out as it can see, and that does show significant hail. I think this will be more of a hail wind threat for Sunday afternoon, and then Sunday evening is more of your tornado threat. But again, that's kind of all for now. We kind of showed you all the model data, all of our forecast. Here's our forecast once again. Just kind of give you one last look there. But yeah, I'll get a few of your questions, but I'm not going to answer a ton of questions because I feel like we just gave out a lot of info right there. And honestly, we really need to wait for these models to get a little bit more into range, where they're better where they're more accurate than what they are right now. Yeah, I'm gonna try to just sleep a ton tonight. I'll probably take like some melatonin or something to sleep. What's your opinion on CSU models? They're good. Now you gotta remember those are machine learning models. Basically, they're AI. Okay. They they're good when you use them with context. I want to make it clear that when you use those kind of things, we look at those kind of things. We do use them. We do look at them. We do talk about them in our team chats. But they're not our end all be all. You have to remember when you look at those that they're only their job is for the CSU specifically um, their job is to take data that's coming in from models, take that data and compare it to what happened during past events, all the way back to the 1950s and stuff. I think it's where as far as it goes back. And then it finds the most comparable event, and then it will compare that event to what models are showing, and they'll take a compromise of those two things, and then all those numbers return into an image. And what you see on the website is that image being spit out from all those equations and all those algorithms and all those comparisons. So it's a good tool because you can help to identify what I refer to as the higher ceiling spots based upon how that model or how that data compares to past events. But you have to have more context than that. Is that a realistic scenario? Is there actual initiation? Is there any convection going to be happening before that event? So there's a lot of things that you have to do, but they are a good tool. Stacy, I'm not going to rule it out, but I also don't think it's likely. I think South Central Kentucky, you're probably going to stay in at 3 out of 5. Lisa with the 200 stars 27 minutes ago. I'm so sorry I missed that. Thank you for your star donation. I'm not going to. I'm just going to skip over that. Carl, I appreciate your kind comment. Thank you so much. By the way, Tim, I saw your comment on YouTube, but I'm not going to open a sounding on a live broadcast because more times people just read that one word down there in the bottom right, they get scared. And without me having and taking the time to explain what a sounding is and how to read it, I don't want to do that to scare folks. 4 out of 5 is for storms, and one of the hazards is tornadoes. North around Warhead, that's when things really start to die down, in my opinion. Okay. I think we're good there. I don't want to start getting on the wheel of what about my farm? What about my? I'm not mean or I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but at this point, it really is just kind of a weight game. We have the general outlook out, but it's kind of a weight game so we can get more specifics, and we can't get more specifics probably until tomorrow afternoon. Just because we have to wait for model data short ranges to come in. Again, they can only see so far out, so we have to wait until those start to get a little bit more into range, and then we can start to look at more specifics and what's going to happen specifically on your farm and your zip code, and what else, whatever it might be. So that's kind of all the information I have for this video. We'll post our updates as well. If you did miss any information in this video, we'll post everything on our Facebook and Twitter, probably here in about 20 minutes. And then later on tonight, probably around 11 p.m. or so, if you're still awake, and that's Eastern time, I'll probably post another update then, just based upon what late night models are looking like. Just kind of a real general post there. Again, guys, if you have any plans for Sunday, I know a lot of folks do, whether it's graduations or celebrate Memorial Day on that day, please be responsible and just cancel them. It is definitely not worth the risk. There will be more holidays. There will be more times to do things. But we're talking about storms that are coming through between 1 to 4 p.m. that can produce damaging winds and large hail. And then you got potential supercells from 4 to 7 p.m. And then you got your main line from 8 p.m. to midnight. I don't see a window where you comfortably and responsibly fit in having guests over or going to see guests or being away from your safe spots. It's not, in my opinion, responsible. Now, whether you take the device or not, that's up to you all. But from my professional opinion here, it's not a responsible thing to have events where you're going to put other people's safety at risk on Sunday, unless you have a massive weather shelter. That's just how it is. Jan Paul, thank you for your 10 stars. I appreciate that, but I'm not going to get into specific locations tonight. I will do that tomorrow night, though. So if you guys want answers on your specific zip codes and farms and driveways and whatever else it might be, I will do that for you guys tomorrow night. Until then, just kind of be looking on the lookout for our updates here at Weather Now KY on YouTube, at WNKWX on both. I messed that up. At Weather Now KY on Twitter. at WKWX on YouTube and Facebook. Let's see here. What's the best day to travel from Indianapolis to Bowling Green? Would it be Saturday or Sunday on Interstate 65? I would do it Saturday. Saturday, you'll still probably run into some rain showers along the way, but you're not going to run into anything that's going to put you in a life-threatening situation. All right. Let's see here. Are tornado shelters even going to be open during? I don't control those things, guys. I wish I do for you, but I don't run school systems. I don't run shelters. I work with the emergency management offices and help them out, but I don't make the calls. I don't make the calls. All my job is to do is give my forecast. So that's it for me. I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here for Weather Now, Kentucky. Until next time, stay safe, folks.